Coach, you had a really strong outing in week one last week at Texas Tech. Strong field, and y'all really rose to the occasion. Kind of talk about the men's side first, and then maybe how your thoughts on the women.
Okay. Well, I thought the men, they were good. In fact, they were pretty good, but they can be better. But I like the way they competed. Now, Coach Vance and I were talking about that coming, after the meet was over, and those guys throughout the race, they were racing, and they were trying to get better, and I really liked from that standpoint. But, we still have a lot of gaps between number 1 and number 7. We need to close that down and get a little bit tighter, so, but that's going to happen. They're working.
Absolutely. You talk about those gaps last week as well. How do you go about closing those? You as a coach, what is it? What can you do to kind of get them to close those gaps?
I'd like to say I'd use a number 9, make them run faster, but it comes through some of the stuff we do in workout, and I call it callous workout, where it's really tough and it's hard on them. But in doing so, it makes them realize that they've got a whole lot more in them than what they thought they did, and consequently, you get a whole lot more out of them. So we kind of gear everything toward getting that mental toughness, because kids run well. They're talented. It's just we got to get stronger mentally, and can't back off from things and get after it.
Absolutely. You do have a quote-unquote veteran team on the women's side. How do you feel they performed last week, and what do you want to see in week 2?
I really, from top to bottom, and we had a couple of rookies running in there and stuff like that, I really kind of felt like they did pretty good, but I know they can do a whole lot better. I think that we got too comfortable where we were in the race, and when you get that way, you don't run to the best that you can run. And I think we get through that hurdle, and those girls are going to be pretty awesome. I think they're great kids. They work hard. They're going to bring it together, and I think they're going to be a force that people will reckon with.
Absolutely. Coach Vance, before the race started on the men's side last week, you went up to Felix and said, "Hey, get out early. Don't get behind, and have to push." How do you feel he did, and what was your overall thoughts on him personally?
As far as race strategy, may have been the best race I've ever seen Felix Koski run. I mean, last year his go-to strategy for the beginning of a race at that big group start in cross country, which can be a madhouse. It can be something that's difficult to navigate, and when you're somebody of his talent, you don't want to get beat around in the middle of the pack. His go-to strategy to avoid that last year was to go to the back. And then once everybody spread out a little bit, he would work his way back through the field, and he just expended way too much energy doing that. So that was kind of why I went to him and said that. And I just wanted to see him go out and run like he knows he can run, like we know he can run. He was one of the most talented runners in that field, and I wanted him to go show it. And he put on a show. I mean, Bernard that was run with, that ended up winning as an unattached, basically a professional athlete. He made Bernard work for 7 of those 8K. I mean, he put it on him, which I was really proud of him to see him do that, because that's not something we necessarily had, at any point last year. We may have gotten it towards the end of the year on the track, but to see him go do that in the first race, it bodes really well for what he can do just as an individual this year.
Absolutely. Talk about some of those new faces on the men's side. Obviously, Andrew put up a pretty good time. Leo, he came back. He ran pretty solid. Talk about some of the new guys, and how do you feel they really did last week?
Well, it's just nerve-wracking to watch your new guys run, because you see them, you recruit them, you see their times, you see what they do, but you never know what they're going to do until you get in a college race environment. And to see them run past us at the mile and see really all of our guys in that race up in the top third of the race and kind of running as a pack, it made me feel really good. Now, some of them did pay for it down on the end, and we're talking about the gaps that we had a little bit. A lot of that was probably a result of first race jitters and going out just a little too fast. But they went out and they got after it. Saw them continue to fight as they went through the race, and then I thought all of them, across the board, really did a good job of coming on that finish straight and finishing strong, trying to catch somebody, no matter where they were, whether they were counting or not. So I was really happy with the newcoming guys, their performance.
Absolutely. Coach Barker, obviously you say you don't look straight at the stat sheet. You want to see how they compete. Right. You want to see how they go get after it. Mm-hmm. How do you feel like both teams did last week?
I think they did a good job at it. You know, one of the surprises for me, judging on workouts, was our kid Eric. You know, if I looked at what he's doing in workouts and everything, I thought he'd probably be back there in 6 or 7, you know, something like that. And you know, the kid came up and performed, and kind of made me sit up a little bit and say, okay, we're going to be okay with this guy. You know, the thing is, competition eludes to good performance. And these guys competed, consequently they had good performance. And that's what we need out of them.
Absolutely. Coach Vance, talk about where we're running this week and some of the things you want to see taking that next step into week 2.
Well, this week we're going to Snyder. We'll run at Western Texas College. Our guys run. I believe guys run first at 9, and our girls will follow that up at 9:35. I think that's correct. But we do run. I know our first race is at 9. Snyder course. We had a good course at LCU. We're really happy with Coach Cordis out there and Coach Murray from Tech. They put together a very challenging course. But I really think the Snyder course we're about to go get on is the toughest course we'll be on probably all year long. I mean, it's out and on the brakes, and you're going up and down, and we're crossing our fingers to hope we don't get that big south wind coming into their face as they go to the finish. But it'll be a smaller meet. It'll be a good gauge of where we are and how we can go run tactically. You know, we may end up with some of our kids by ourselves a little bit on the men's side and go see them go run within themselves, but go push themselves versus kind of cruising. But, you know, you never know who's going to be there until you show up. On the women's side, we get to see a good New Mexico Junior College team again. And they ran really, really well last week, and we get to go head-to-head again against them again. And probably Esther Utahi is probably the top runner in junior college that runs for them. She's probably the top female in junior college. So we just need to go out and, you know, we see what the best is and push ourselves. And if we can get a little closer every week to her and kind of get that group in there tight, which that's a group that I think is capable of finishing real tight from 1 to 5, then we can give them some problems.
Absolutely. Coach Barker, you like to add anything?
Well, I think that pretty well covers it. We, like I said, it's going to be really fun to compete against New Mexico Junior College again because, like Coach said, they do have, I think she's the #1 girl in the country. And if we can get close to her and kind of close up behind her, then that pretty well tells what the theme is going to be for us the rest of the year. We're going to be tough.
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to Saturday. Coach Barker, Coach Vance, we appreciate your time, and good luck on Saturday.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.